So you've collected all the client's details. Now you're going to go to their property because there's not much you can do now without going out to see them. So we're going to start again where we did the last one. I'm going to merge across this box. I'm going to call this number 2. This is going to be the main intake at the property. Now, you don't have to go to the main intake of the property. You don't have to do anything at the supply. But what you might do here is you might automatically find a fault. It depends what the fault is, doesn't it? If you've been called out and all they've said to you is my lecky's not working, the first place you're going to have to go is go to the supply and see if the supply is there at the property, isn't it? So we want to ask a few things when we first appear at the property. So let's make a list. Let's 1, 2, 3. We'll have 4 that way. Don't know what I'm going to use them for all 4 yet, but let's merge across there. Then we'll do these ones and merge across those ones. Right. So the first thing you want to know is, are there previous searches for the property? Now there may or may not be, so it's entirely it's unlikely that there are, to be fair. So excuse me, we're just going to ask the question, and then we're going to go to data. I'm going to add in here a yes or no answer. Okay. Now yes, comma no, and comma, and we'll put an NA because you might be saying to me, I know what the problem is. I'm going to go straight there. I don't want to look at the supply, right? So you can put an NA in there if you want. Okay. Are the previous test certificates? Now, if there are previous test certificates, right, you might then be able to tell if there's been any additions or alterations, right? Because you say to the customer, don't you? You always say, has anybody been in doing any work recently? And they'll go, no, no one's been in, nothing to do with this anyway, right? So we want to look for evidence, right, of alterations or additions. Let's get rid of that space. We're going to look for evidence of alterations or additions, okay? And we're going to say yes or no. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take that one, Control C. I'm going to put it there, Control V. Okay. So now we can say yes or no, or the client's lying to us. I can see that they've had a new socket put on over there because last time I was here, that wasn't like that. All right. Now we want to know the estimated age, right, of the thing. Now, the estimated age, let's go for 6 boxes again. And I think it might be a little bit short. Yeah, okay, let's go with Major Cross. All right. And now we're looking at estimated age of the installation. All right. Now you may or may not care about the estimated age, but what I'd suggest here is you should care, right? Because this could dictate a lot about the problems. Okay, so we'll do data again, and this time the estimated age. Now, obviously, you can put in anything you want for your estimated age. For me, right, it's either pre 1977, 1977 to 2004, or it's post 2004. Right, and that's because pre-1977 it was green earth sleeve and usually had aluminium conductors. Between 77 and 2004 we got our green and yellow sleeve, but our red and black was our live and neutral. And post 2004 we've had brown and blue, and that can give you some clues to the likely damage of this installation. If the whole thing's tripping and it's pre-1997, there's a good chance the whole thing's just really, really old. Maybe between 1977 and 2004 there was less RCDs back then. Excuse me. And so tripping may be more localized. Post 2004 is a good chance we've got a few different things going on. Anyway, there's just a simple way of aging the property. Another way we can age the property is to look at the consumer unit type. Okay, so I'm just going to take 3 boxes there. I'm going to merge them. Okay, and CU type. Okay, consumer unit type. Okay, now here we have a few options. I'm going to fast forward this bit for myself. All right, data validate. We'll come back to that in a second, right? So if I go to this box, I'm going to. All right, so we're going to look at the consumer unit, the type of consumer unit. We're going to make a list. I'm going to show you the list now. There's my list, right? So let's have a look at what that is. Oops. Click on that button. Rewirable fuse board, 3036s. That gives us a good clue as the age again. 3871s, that's when they replaced the 3036 fuse, rewirable fuses with the push button ones. Loads with circuit breakers, in other words, no RCDs, which was going to be quite old, probably still late 80s, early 90s. Late 90s, we got the single RCD fuse boards. Even right into the 2000s, we got single RCD split load boards. Post sort of 2008, we started getting the dual RCDs. And then probably 2015 onwards, we started getting the full loaded RCBO boards. So chances are, if it's 77 2004, it's going to be one of them. So let's throw that in there. Anyway, what else do we want to know? We want to know the number. We could be going to a shop. For all we know, it could be single phase or it could be three phase. So let's have a look at that. Number of live conductors at the supply. I'm not really too sure how that's going to affect it, but at the same time, it might be handy to know. So let's make another list there. I'm just going to say single phase or three phase. Now, there could be obviously others, but it's not very common, is it? So we'll just have single phase or three phase there. Chances are it's always going to be single phase. Check the main bonding, right? Now, that could be something where there's a little bit of extra work for you, okay? The customer, the person you're talking to, may or may not know about their bonding, right? If they haven't got any, could be why they've got a problem, right? They might be getting little leaky shocks off the pipework, that kind of thing. So what other details do we want to take? We want to take maybe the overcurrent protective device. Let's do 3, 4. I don't know, 3 boxes. Let's go with. All right, overcurrent protective device. OCPD for speed. All right, and here we're going to go with merging them. Let's make a nice little list of possible RCBO, or sorry, circuit breakers for the supply. Right, let's do a list again. Because we don't have loads, do we? And we don't want to go making up numbers and, or, we want to make this as easy as we can for ourselves, don't we? Unlikely, but could have an 88.2. More than likely, we've got an 88.3. Very possible we could have a 1361, which is the old number for the 88.3s. And you can write other there if you want to. Or you can just write nothing, doesn't matter, other, whatever. Anyway, you've got a nice little list there. Good chance we've got an 88.3. What else do we want to know? The rating. Of course, we want to know the rating of the fuse, don't we? So let's do another 3 boxes. Merge them across. No, insert merge. There we go. Merge them. And we want the rating of our supply, right? We need to know that because if the main supply fuse is tripping, right, then it could be the fact that the actual supply, maybe they've added the second or third shower and they've actually overloaded the supply. They've increased the maximum demand of the property without increasing the size of the fuse. So you could have a 60, an 80, or a 100 amp fuse, or you could go NA. Because you don't really know. Unless we open up the thing, we might not know what's in there. So let's go and say it's a 60 amp. Right, so if we've got 80 amp, click on one. Anyway, 80 amps, that'll do us. What else do we want to know? We know the type of earthing system. All right, so let's have 6 boxes because we might need it for that. I don't keep going to insert, merge. So earthing system, there we go. And do a colon there. And how many earthing systems can we have? Not many. So merge that one. Let's make another list. How many earthing systems can we have? Now, I'm not going to put TNC in. The reason being, it's not allowed in this country. So we can have TT. We can have, what's just happened there? I didn't do that. Give me flipping data validation back. TT, and we want TN dash S. Oh, not SW. And then we want TN dash C dash S. Right? And also we want to include an NA because we might not care, might we? Right. More than likely we've got TNCS. What else do we want to know? We want to know if there's an SPD on the supply. But I'm getting a bit tight on boxes here, aren't I? Right, we just have 2 for that. 2 for auction. We have 2. Yeah, okay, let's have 2. All right, and we'll merge this one, and we'll say SPD, and we just want a yes, no, or NA again, don't we? So we'll copy that one. Control C, Control V. We might want to know the maximum ZS or ZE. Sorry, I want to know the ZE of the property. Okay. ZE the property. Now I'm not going to give. Well, I suppose you could if you wanted to. You could put your 0.35 for TNCS or 0.8 for TNS. But in reality, that's a measurement, isn't it? And we're looking for a measurement there to make sure it's safe, aren't we, don't we? Underneath it, let's put our PSC. PFC in there. All right, and we'll merge that box as well. So a good idea of our supply being safe or not. There's a good chance we could have an RCD main switch, couldn't we? Let's put it I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Make it there. So RCD main switch. Okay, that's going to be a yes, a no, or an NA again. So we'll copy that and we'll put that in there. RCD main switch, and if it has got it, we're going to know the type. We want to know the rating. Let's fast forward this a little bit. To type a rating, and we need to press the button as well, don't we? So let's copy them. Let's put them in there. Right. You might notice they're already a little bit grey. That's because we're already That's because I did this earlier. Right. So, assuming the mains are all okay, we're going to ask the question, is it okay to proceed? Right? It might be the case that we've already finished, right? But it might be the case that we're just collecting evidence, right? So let's just highlight all the boxes that we want to color in. Control, hold that one, hold that one, hold that one, hold this one, that one, this one, this one, this one, that one, and that one. Very good. Right, now we're going to make all them grey. We're going to bold all right. Right. So there we go. That's all the information we want to collect about the mains, and we want to know if it's okay to proceed. So let's highlight that box a different color. And then we want to have details, don't we? Details about if not. We want to know if there's any detail. What are these details? Why not? Why can't we proceed? Oh, why did I just do that? Let's cut that and we'll paste it there. Right. Details if it's okay to proceed. Let's merge them. And then in this box, we're going to have a yes, no, or NA, aren't we? C, Control V, yes, no, right, and details. Why is that one merged itself? Let's merge bold and grey that one. Right, and then we'll merge that one across there. So then you can say why it's okay and why it's not. All right. Right, and that is the main intake. That's our supply. We're moving on from there.